Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So we get to the meat of any programming language, and the meat of any programming language is conditional statements and loops. These are the things that make the backbone of any programming language. So a conditional statement is when you ask if something is true or false. So if something evaluates to true or false, then it's a conditional. So if something is true, we do one thing. If it's false, we do something else. This is how computers make decisions. And a loop is when you repeat the same action over and over a certain number of times. So this can be very useful because humans are not very good at loops or doing repetitive work, but computers are excellent at that. So let's see a few examples here of conditional statements, then we can go to loops. So let's start here first, because loops can contain conditional statements as well. So let's start there. So I'm going to go to my project folder here. So I'm inside this drive. This is drive H, and there's Java projects folder here. And inside there, I want to create a new folder called test, so that we just start afresh. And I open that folder, and in here now I can put a file. So I just want to create a file in here. Now you can create the file using this. Let me grab the folder here actually and go to my text editor and drop it in there. That way we are in this folder right there. And also what I'm going to do is open this folder and copy the path to that folder, so I can open a command line prompt based on that. Then I can do cd change directory. Now since we're going to another drive, I'll do /d and then paste like that. Okay, so then let me clear the screen, and there we go. So we are ready to compile our project. Now we need to create a project, so I'm going to right click on test here, just a file. Say new file, and let's save that file. I'm going to save it as test with capital T, test.java, since it's a Java file. Right, so of course the things we need to write first are the class name, and we name this just like we have named our file. So it's named after our file name, like so. And then of course we need at least one method, so we're going to do the public static void main like that, and then do string, and then we parse in the args like that. Okay, so this is the bare minimum we need to do, so let me save that. Now the thing here is, what I want to check for is I want to create a condition. So the condition can be, let's say for example I create an integer and say int a is equal to 2. So here I can ask the question, if a is equal. Now this is how you check if something is equal to something else. Now you can do 3 checks like that. That just means, I think this one includes the type as well, while this one just loosely checks if they are compatible, they are similar. I don't know, we'll make a few checks to see what qualifies as what. And so we say a is equal to 2, so that's assigning when you use 1. When you use 2 like that, that's checking if they're equal. So if a is equal to 2 like that, so here when we put an if statement and you put the condition in there, if this condition evaluates to true, then whatever is in here will run. Otherwise, it will just skip over this part if this condition is false. So here we're going to do system dot out dot print line. We want to say something like a is equal to 2, something like that. Okay, so this will only print if this is true, right? So let's go back here and compile this. So we're going to do java c and then do test.java, and it will obviously compile. Then we say Java and run it as test. And you see we get the a is equal to 2 because that's true. Now if we set a to, let's say, 5, then we're going to have a different result. We won't see anything here because it doesn't work out. So Java C, sorry, I'm going for text.java. And then once we compile, we can now run it. And you see it shows us an empty. Now, what if you want to run something else if this is false? So if this doesn't work, you can say else, because now if I grab this and put it here, let's say there, and say a is not equal to, let's say a is equal to 2. Okay, so here a is not equal to 2. Now if I put this here, whether this runs or not, this will always run as well. Now I want a situation where I want either of these to run, one of them to run only. So then is when I'm going to use an else statement like that, and then move this in there like so. Oops, what have I done? Okay, so now if a is equal to 2, we're going to say a is equal to 2. If it's not, we'll do the else. So whatever other value than 2, then this will run. Right? So we check that out. Java C test.java, and then we do Java test like so. So a is not equal to 2. Okay. So this can be very useful. Now, in certain times you want to check another else statement. Maybe you want to check if a is equal to 3 instead as well. So here what we're going to do is we'll put an else if statement instead. So I'll duplicate this one, and then instead of just the else, I can put an if there as well. But I can just move it down here so it's easier to read, right? But not forgetting this one here. So if a, so it will say if a is equal to 2, else if a is equal to 3, then we'll do something else, right? So I'm going to put this over here and say a is equal to 3. Okay, so it's not equal to 2. Now, if it's none of the 2 or 3, then it's going to go here. So if I put 3 there, well, let's see here. That actually works. So let's do Java C, and we're going to do test.java. Let's run that, and then now let's do Java test like so. And it says a is equal to 3 correctly there. So this is how you use the if statement. Now, just remember that whatever you put in the else should evaluate to true or false. And that's the only way it's going to work. Now, this is one way to do conditions. There's also another way using a so-called switch statement. But before we can use our switch statement, let's see if we can use user input instead. So we ask the question, int a is equal to, so let's import a scanner instead. So I'm going to do import here. That way we can get user input. So we use our scanner there, and so I'm going to say scanner sc, that's what I'm going to call it, is equal to new scanner, like that. Now, you don't have to import like this. You can still do it directly like so and say new java.util.scanner right there without that import statement, and it's going to work just fine. Okay, so this is equal to a new scanner, but we have to tell it what we are getting from, and we are getting from the system, right? System.in. Okay, so here the integer we are getting, now we are getting strings from here, so I just want a string from there, right? So I'm gonna say So I'm going to say string. Here is going to be string. I'm going to call it str. For the string we grabbed from there is equal to sc, which is our scanner, dot next line, like that. So this part here, what it's just doing is just grabbing whatever we have typed in the console. And I just wanted to tell us that we should type something. So I'm going to put a message there and say, please type a number over here, like so. Please type a number. Okay, so please type a number, and then it will grab that number. And then here we want to make it an integer. Now to convert a number, so we create another memory item, which is a, and we want a to be equal to this string, whatever number we typed in there. So we're going to do that. Okay. Now, since this is a string, we can't put it inside an integer. So there's a way to convert things we're going to learn about soon, but for now we're just going to use it. So we say integer dot parse int, like so. So integer is a class, and then parse int is a method within that class that converts any string into an actual integer. Alright, so we convert it to an integer and pass it in there. Then we can do some comparisons here, right? So if it's something else, so if it's 2, it will say it's equal to 2. If it's 3, it's going to say it's equal to 3. If it's something else, it's just going to say not equal to 2 or 3. Okay, so let's test this out. Hopefully this is not too complex over here. Let me just go through it. We instantiate a scanner, we tell it where to get the information from, and then we ask the user, please type a number, and then we grab the number that they typed as a string, because those things come in as strings actually. And then we could have used next int here, so we don't have to convert, but I just wanted to show you that you can actually convert integer or a string to an integer there. So then we do a comparison and echo out the right thing. So let me clear the screen and say Java C, and let's do test.java to compile that, right? And then I'm going to do Java test to run it. So it says, please enter a number. And if I enter 2 and press enter, it says A is equal to 2. So we can say, you can see how this can be useful in a situation like this. Let's try again, right? I'm gonna run this again. Please enter a number. This time I'll enter 3 and say A is equal to 3. Let's try again. Please enter a number. I'll enter maybe 8 or 9 and say A is not equal to 2 or 3, which is very true. So that's how a computer makes decisions based on input. Now here we can say equal to 3 or equal to 2. So instead you can use the greater than or less than sign. So here we can say if A is less than 10, right? Let's try that. If A is less than 10, then we can say instead of A, let's just use number is less than 10. So let's say less than 10. And over here, if the number is greater than 10, we'll do that. Okay. Something like this. So the number can be equal or less than 10 or greater than 10, or if it's none of the above, then it can be equal to let's say, instead of A, let's use number here and there as well. Okay. Number is the else statement here doesn't make any sense, because maybe we can say is equal to 10, right? Now if you want to include 10 here, you can put less than or equal to, like that, or greater than or equal to. Just know that the equal to comes after the symbol there. So you can do it, say like less than or equal to, and so on. But let's put an else statement. Actually, this makes sense. Number is equal to 10, because anything else means it's equal to 10, obviously, because it's either less than or greater than or equal to 10. So let's try this out, right? So let's go ahead and clear the screen. Let me compile this. I forgot to put the .java there, so let me try again. Where is my button? Okay, there we go, .java. Okay, and then let's run it. So please enter a number. So if I enter 10 like that, number is equal to 10. Okay, great. Let me try this again. Java test, right? Let's do that. Please enter a number. And this time I'm going to say 20. Number is greater than 10. This is true. What about if I run this again and enter 3, for example? Number is less than 10. So as you can see, that's how you make conditions, right? Very simple and straightforward. Now, to take this a little bit further, we can use the switch statement. Now, switch statement is just like the if statement, but a little bit different. So most of the time you won't be using the switch statement, you'll be using the if statement. But actually, before we run away from this one, let's do a few more tests here. There are times when you want to do, let's say, if A is less than 10, and then you want to compare two conditions. So you can say if A is less than 10, and then you want to say or. So or you put two double pipes like that, or A is let's be very specific here. Let's see here. A is less than 10 or A is greater than 10, right? So you can put both of these. So number is not equal to 10. So here it can be less or greater. Then we can say number is not 10. If this is, wait, it's less than, yes, then it's not 10. And then here we can have number is equal to 10. Let me grab this. Now keep in mind, you don't need the else statement all the time. You can remove it like that. This still works. You can say if else, if, like that, and this is fine. So at this point, the number is not equal to 10, right? Because if the number is less than 10 or is greater than 10, then we say it's not equal to 10. And then here we're asking if it's equal to 10, and there we go. Okay, so if we test this, it's gonna work as intended. But let's just be sure. And now let's run it. Please enter a number. So if I say number is 10, it will say number is equal to 10, right? And if I try this again, let's put 40. Number is not equal to 10, which is very true. So you can combine these. You can also combine these with and. So sometimes you can say if number is less than 10 and is greater than 10, this condition would never be met because it's not possible for one number to be less than 10 and greater than 10 at the same time. So we can't use the and here. So we could use the and here and say and A is not equal. This is how you write not equal to 10, like so. So if number is this one, so this is redundant because this simply means it's not equal to 10 already, but I'm just showing you how you can combine these with an and. And sometimes you want to tell it exactly how to evaluate, so you can put these inside brackets like so and say the result of this whole thing should be connected to this one. because and will only work when both conditions are correct, right? So when evaluating, I think it starts with the or and then it goes to and. So in this case, putting brackets like this will tell it exactly to evaluate this first, what to start with, and then evaluate, compare that to this. If both of these conditions are true, then it will come here. So let's see that in action. And I'm going to do Java C test.java. All right. And then let's do Java and test again. Please enter a number. So if I put number 10, its number is equal to 10, as you would expect. If I put number 30, as you would expect. So this works fine. So the if statement is more versatile than the switch statement, as you're going to see shortly. That's why most of the time you're going to be using the if statement, because you can put all these else, if, else, and then combine and or in there, right? So when you're comparing using and, if for example it tries to evaluate this and finds the answer to be false, it will not bother to check this one. So if for example there is an if statement you may be thinking could have an error when checking, just start with the one that doesn't have an error. That way it will check this one and it will only go to check the next one if this one returns true. The reason why it doesn't check the second one if this is false is because this is an and statement. Both sides have to be true for it to move here. So it's not going to waste time checking if this condition is true if this one is already false, because regardless whether this is true or not, it doesn't matter. If this is false, it will not run here anyway. So it will start with that. If this is false, it won't bother here. It will just go to the next one. So that's one way you could avoid certain errors when you're programming, if you know that this condition here can only work if this one came as true. So you swap them in that order so that it starts here and then goes there. Okay, so enough with if statements. Let's try switch statements. So right here, we're just going to mute that. And then I'm going to do a switch statement like so. Now switch works like this. You put your condition in there and then you put cases here. So does a switch thing have this? I don't even remember now. I rarely use a switch, so this is why. So here you can say case like this. So you give it a condition, right? And then maybe case 1, full colon, and then you put your code here like that, and then we have a break like that, and then we move to case 2, and the thing repeats. So I'm going to explain this a little bit more, and then we have the default like that, and then it runs code there. So what's happening here is you have a condition, right? And then it checks if the condition here is met. So with switch, you can't use this thing like greater than or less than. No, you cannot. It's always just about the equal sign. So here the case should be equal to this one. So let's say, for example, we have a case A here. So our case will be A is the condition. So is A equal to something? So here we're just checking, is A equal to 10, right? Is A equal to 20? And then if it's not any of these that you put, you can put as many conditions as you want. If it's not, then here we just echo out what remains. So let me grab this. Here the code will be number is equal to 10. Here number is equal to 20. And then here it's going to be number is not to 10 or 20. Okay, so I'm going to explain the break here in a minute. Let's just try and see if this actually works. Maybe I've forgotten something there. Java C, and then we do test.java. Okay, so no errors, which means I got it right. Let's try Java and let's do test. So please enter a number. If I enter 10, you see number is equal to 10 as predicted. If I put 20, number is equal to 20. Or if I put 30, number is not equal to 10 or 20. So as you can see, it similarly works to this. The only difference is we can't use greater than or less than, because this assumes an equal sign all the time. Now the reason we have a break here is because the way the switch statement works is that if it gets case 10, then it's going to run all the code after this point. So let's say, for example, the condition here is met at 20. So if it's met here, it will skip this one, right? And then get to 20. But then it will just continue and run the rest of the code after that until it reaches a breakpoint. So in this case, for example, let me remove my break here, right? Or there. Now what will happen here is that for as long as this case is met, if it runs here, it will run this and that, I think. So let's test it. Let's put case 10. And then if we put 20, it will start running from here and run everything else down here because there's no break. So the break just makes sure that once it runs one of them, it exits the switch statement immediately after that one run. So you may be asking, why do they even put break? Shouldn't everyone want to just run one condition? Not really. Sometimes you may want to run two conditions. For example, here you can put case 20 and then you put case 30, right? So here, just by doing this, it means if either it's 20 or 30, this will still run here. But let's remove this for a second and see what happens. Once we run 10, it will run everything. Once we run 20, it will run from here down. So let's see that in action. So I'm going to go javac test.java, and then let's try Java test this time. Please enter a number. So if I enter number 10, you see that it runs everything. Number is equal to 10, 20, and even the default value there. Now if I try again and put number is equal to 20, notice that now it starts at 20 but still runs the rest of the code. So that's how it works. That's why we put that break here, like so. So is equal to 20 or 30. So here I'm going to put 30 like that. Okay, that way with that, this is how you use the OR statement. So if case is 20 or 30, it's going to run here. I should remove that. Okay. So with that, let's try a new compile. Actually, when compiling, I think it will work even with a small letter there. See Java test. Okay, so please enter a number. This time I'll enter 30. You see, there we go. Let's try again. This time I'll enter 20, and it echoes the same message because this acts like an OR statement. Alright, so this is how you make switch statements, conditions in your programming. You can put conditions. If this is that, then that. If this is that, then that, and so on and so forth. Alright, so in the next video, let's look at how we can loop or repeat an action